And good morning. Let me say that today, after this video, the scheduling of the videos may change for the next few days. I expect to do tomorrow's video later today because I intend to be traveling overnight. I like to travel at night when I'm on long distance trips because it's cooler, number one, and number two, because there's less traffic. Of course, you have to deal with all the tractor trailers, but that's another thing. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about ninth wave meeting our extended family. You'd think that I was going to talk about ETs with a title like that, but not this time. I'm talking about humans that are different than you and me. Those that have other belief systems and perspectives. We've long lived in a dysfunctional family. Can we learn to get along? It may be more important now than ever as we face the daunting task of creating a new world that works for everyone. Are we up for the challenge? As I was meditating this morning, many thoughts went through my mind. I had a conversation with my brother yesterday. He has worked in the same job as basically the general manager of a company all of his life. He's 57 years old. And he's always, I think he's only worked for two companies in his entire life, and one of them was when he was very young, in his late teens, possibly into his early 20s. I'm really not sure when he transitioned to the other job. But once he got into the other job, he worked his way up, and and for years he's been the general manager, making a very good income. Well, the company closed on September 15th after all these years. So for the first time in his life, he will be collecting unemployment compensation, which is a new experience for him. And it's funny because in our conversation, he's agreeing with me on more points than he ever did before, but he still thinks that conservatism is the way to go. He considers himself a conservative, and it's very important that capitalism is the only system that could possibly work on Earth. I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm introducing that only to show that even within a blood family, and this is just my brother, who I get along with better than any of my three sisters, we have different viewpoints, different perspectives on what reality is, on what our ideal world would look like. To him, he thinks Anonymous and all of this Wall Street revolting against the system is crazy because it hurts all the people, because the economy drives the world, and that's what he sees. And looking at the world that we've lived in, it's easy to understand how anyone would get that idea. The economy and the financial matters do drive the world, and they've driven it apart. It's been separation of the rich from the poor, the haves from the have-nots. And of course, being a conservative, he believes that the have-nots have not because they're not supposed to have, because they're lazy, because they're stupid, because whatever the excuse. The have-nots aren't supposed to have, or they would have. After all, isn't life a level playing field? No. And I'm going to probably talk about that, if not later today when I do tomorrow's video on Wednesday, or one of the videos to follow, because that's a subject that I do want to talk about, the capitalism and free market ideas. but family, unity consciousness as opposed to separation consciousness. The truth is, and we're going to learn that more and more and more, that all life, everywhere and anywhere, is interconnected. We're going to learn that, folks. The human family is going to wake up. We're in the process of that awakening right now. Many are waking up. We still haven't hit the cataclysmic event that begins to wake us up en masse. I would say, just as the protesters are saying, we're representing the 99%, but it's probably the 1% or less of the world's population that is actually representing the 99%. Certainly it's not the 1% of the elite that run the world. They're disconnected still, although I think that will change too. Because we're going to learn, like it or not, that whether we are the same color, have similar form, have similar culture, similar religion, similar political ideology, we're going to learn that we are brothers and sisters. That we are part of a family of God who is one creator that has created everything. Now, when I say one God has created everything, God creates through creation. So in a sense, each of us become creator gods in that we can create something if we choose to in our world. And we are choosing to, I believe. I know I am choosing to create a world that I have always dreamed of. And I am willing to work with my extended family. Who is my extended family? I'm connecting with more people than I ever have on Earth, and I'll bet you a lot of you are, thanks to the internet. I could go to many countries of the world and find a friend that would probably be willing to put me up for a short period of time and get to know me, communicate with me, love me, let me love them. I might even find a lover somewhere in the world, which would be ironic because that's not always been an easy thing for me to find. But in any case, I do have lots and lots of friends. I do. And so do you. Most of my friends I haven't met yet. That's true on Facebook. It's true on YouTube. I have friends that I don't even know. But they hear what I have to share, and they choose to be my friends. And I don't cast any of them away. There's some of them that might piss me off for a while, but I don't cast them away. We're allowed to have different viewpoints, and we're allowed to see the world through our own filters of experience and what we've believed to be true or not true about that experience. If we are victims and see ourselves as victims, we're going to see the world as perhaps owing us something. And the whole idea of anyone being owed anything is odious to a conservative. And the conservative in me, that's true of that part of me too. And yet, another part of me says it's true. We all have a divine inheritance. And it's ours. We are all rich kids. We don't all live like it. We don't all live as if we're creators, as if we're part of the God family. We don't live that way. We live destitute oftentimes, impoverished, if not monetarily impoverished, impoverished in spirit. The richest people on earth are impoverished in spirit. Most of them. Not all of them. There's never all, or always, or forever, or never. of any situation, of any condition. They all are in a state of flux. And boy, in our day and age, the state of flux is obvious. You're trying to maintain the status quo, forget it. Forget it. Some people say that this movement, this revolution that's taking place around the world, is manipulated and controlled by the same people that have controlled everything all along. They've studied how people behave, and they know what the trigger points are. They know what's going to make people do one thing or another. And let me tell you something. That's partially true. They have studied humanity for a long time. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, our extended family has a divine plan, has a divine process that's being worked out. We are coming into unity consciousness. That's what the ninth wave is all about. We are waking up to the fact that even though we're different, we have to love one another. Because love is the only thing that's going to see us through. It's the only thing that's going to deliver us from the dysfunction of our past experience. As I've said before, we live at a time when our future is literally pulling us forward. Some people have said that the ETs are actually us from our own future, reaching back to pull us forward, to become where they are. That may sound far-fetched. It's probably not. There's many mysteries in our universe, scientific mysteries, spiritual mysteries, that we haven't yet figured out. And as we meet our extended family, as we come into contact with those that are different, I encourage you to listen, to pay attention to what they're saying. Listen with the eyes, listen with the ears, and see with the eyes of your heart. Try to comprehend what it's like in the other person's shoes, or if they don't have shoes, in the other person's bare feet. Because a lot of people don't have shoes in some of the poorest places on earth. We have to address these issues that have created such a wide gulf between part of the family of humanity and other parts of the family of humanity. The Illuminati and the elite position of domination that cannot survive, must not survive. Again, it's only through love that we're going to accomplish this formidable task of creating a world that works for everyone. It's only through the heart that we're going to be able to integrate the warring parts of our own being, and in so doing, have that happen in the larger world. It's an individual process and it's a collective process, and they're both happening right now in this ninth wave at the same time. This is the sixth night. It's going to draw to a close next, Tuesday? I think so. I think next Tuesday, the 11th, it starts the final day, the seventh day of this ninth wave. What's going to happen between now and then? I'm not sure. It's going to be really, really interesting, isn't it? Really interesting. I'm actually going to be talking at the Wednesday night group on the 12th about where we are and where we've come from in this ninth wave. What have we seen? What changes have we seen? I'm going to be talking about that at my own Wednesday night group. And those that live in the area, of course, are invited. That's the 12th, not next week. Or not this week. That's next Wednesday. Yes, it is next Wednesday. I'm losing track of time. But I'm encouraging each of you and all of us to think bigger than we've ever been able to think before, and to think and feel from the heart so that we can heal ourselves and the world that we live in. This is the challenge that's before us. We can do it because our future self and our past self are united as we meet our extended family. I think that's all. Namaste.